Welcome everybody to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and Attention Coach Jeff Copper, and today I'm here to talk to you about the difference between accountability and responsibility. So often I have found when I'm coaching individuals that they think in terms of accountability. And to me there's a difference between responsibility and accountability, and it goes like this. Basically, it's accountability is when you have to do it. Imagine that you have a chore that you need to do in a week, or you delegate a chore, or not delegate, or your child has a chore, and they actually do that chore. Let's say wash the car, fill out some paperwork, whatever. But when you do it, you're accountable for doing it. Responsibility, on the other hand, is a little bit different. Responsibility is you make sure that it gets done. Now, you can take the responsibility and the accountability and actually do it, in which case you're doing both of them. Or responsibility sometimes is really just delegating it to somebody else and making sure that it got done. And so I really think that when it comes to ADHD, many of those really need to think in terms of responsibility. So let's say, for example, that you have a chore to do around the house. That's a repetitive and boring routine task. If you're accountable for that chore, you might have some difficulty accomplishing it. Whereas if you just take the responsibility to make sure that that chore gets done, you can actually delegate it to somebody else. Or maybe even barter for those services. In other words, have somebody else do that chore for you. In exchange, you do something for them. In that situation, you're taking the responsibility to make sure that that chore gets done, but you're delegating that accountability to somebody else. And you actually might be responsible by bartering, if you will, to do something that maybe that person didn't necessarily like. The reason I think this is really important is there's so many things those with ADHD struggle to do, and there's many things that they don't have a problem doing. And I find many times they get stuck in confusing responsibility and accountability. They think that they're one and the same, and they always feel like they have to do it. And my point really here is if you have ADHD and you struggle with an area, you do need to take responsibility for certain things. Maybe your behavior, maybe chores, maybe things that need to get done. But many times you can delegate that accountability. Second ago, actually I just want to make a distinction. A second ago I said you are responsible for your behavior, which is important. And many times what you can do is delegate to somebody to help build the environment for you to go to, so when you go into that environment, you're more easily or better capable of taking accountability of your behavior. And what does that look like? It might be delegating to somebody to make sure that your office is set up with a printer so that when you get there you can print information off, because it's so much easier for you to review information on printed data that's spread out maybe on a table as opposed to toggling screens. In that situation, you're delegating the accountability to set up the environment, so you take responsibility in order to achieve the task that's at hand. So in summary, I think that there's a very big difference between those two. Don't confuse them. And if you have those with ADHD, think in terms of responsibility. What do you need to get done? If you can take the accountability, do it, but often consider taking the ability or taking the authority and delegating the accountability to somebody else, and then follow it to make sure it gets done. I think you'll find that that'd be very helpful and remove the elephant off your back. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Attention Talk Video. Please subscribe to our channel for more great tips released each week. Take care.